What is up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Not So Stupid podcast. In today's episode, I have Sean Dollinger joining us today. And for those of you unaware of who Sean Dollinger is, he is currently the CEO and founder of PlantX, a plant-based e-commerce business that is helping making plant-based eating more accessible to the common person and more affordable to the common person as well. But before doing all of that, he was a serial entrepreneur who, at the age of 17, started a delivery company that quickly grew into the largest of its type in Canada, then transitioned to opening another company, Namaste Technologies, which was his first public company. And by the time he left Namaste Technologies in March of 2019, he had grown it to be a $1 billion company. After going through a few other companies as well, he realized that he was feeling unfulfilled in his place in the world. He felt like he could do more to help more people in ways that went beyond just improving their bank account. Being a vegan himself over the last 10 to 12 years and how it's changed his lifestyle, who he is, and how he feels on a daily basis, he launched PlantX with the goal of helping people feel better, enjoy themselves, and become better at who they are on a daily basis. So really noble cause, really great person, very down to earth, and I really enjoyed my time speaking with him, both on the podcast and off the podcast. I'm really excited for you guys to listen in on this conversation that we had on a new perspective of being plant-based, which I thought was really interesting and definitely not the direction that I thought this conversation would head in prior to getting on the mic with him. Without further ado, here is the interview with Sean Dollinger. Sean Dollinger, welcome to the podcast. It's great having you on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So for the people that don't know who you are, want to give a little intro about yourself, how you got to where you're at, and what you do?
Definitely. Grew up in Montreal, was one of the few to get a baseball scholarship, played NJCAA Division I ball down in New York, made it to the College World Series, which was pretty epic. And
wow.
From there, started a few e-coms. My first one, I was 17 years old, and it was a technology company. And my last company went from $6 million to $1.5 billion, but I just felt like we didn't really make a change in the world. Maybe a few people made a few dollars, but at the end of the day, there wasn't much change. So PlantX at the end of the day was an idea in December of 2019. I've lived a plant-based journey for over 10 years now. I've lost 60 pounds, 30% of my body weight, and I'm sure, as you know, from your background and everything you do, that extra weight, it's not just about the physical, but the mental as well. Like I had terrible anxiety, suffering, always thought something was going to happen to me. And I just felt, how can we go ahead and give back all that I've learned over 10 years on a platform with the technology that we've developed over the last 20 years. So That's how PlantX was born.
Wow, nice. So you went into plant-based firsthand. What was kind of the deciding factor for you? Was it needing to lose weight? Was it trying to feel better about yourself? What kind of led you down that journey?
Again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, as I'm sure you guys always speak about this, but diets don't work. At the end of the day, it's lifestyle. And I don't just listen to one lifestyle, like gluten-free, for example. I think it's fantastic. It works well for me. Each person needs to listen to their own body. But I take it a step further. If there's gluten-free products that then don't have ingredients that make sense to put in your body, why do you just need to abide by a gluten-free diet when maybe sourdough or other types of bread might be more beneficial to you, even though people, kind of live that gluten-free life? So I just kind of rotated a whole bunch of things around. Like, for example, raw sugar. I went to China a whole bunch of times. I ate the food. Everybody around me was extremely slim, and I was in Shenzhen, and, I noticed that. And all the food was really, really salty. None of it was ever sweet that I had. And that was the first time I said to myself, maybe it's because there's a lot of fried food in that diet. Maybe it's the raw sugar that's really the culprit, and really the big problem. So once I mixed things around, so I really tried to explore, have an open mind, and try to make sense what makes sense,
Yeah, that was really admirable. And then what was kind of like the aha moment for you? Was it that moment in China, or was there a couple more that kind of had you dedicated for the last 10 years, dedicate to this path over the last 10 years?
Definitely a couple. I really listen to what people say, and everybody is really focused on the fitness aspect. And I believe 30 minutes of sweating a day, an hour of sweating a day, I just think it's really great mentally. for you. And I think that physically you feel better. But how many people do you know go ahead, work out so hard, and then you can put on those calories in literally under 5 minutes, everything that you've burned. So I find it's almost this vicious cycle out there where people go hit the gym really hard, say, oh man, why am I not losing any weight? But really it goes back to 80%, 90% is actually what you're putting in your body. So when I started learning about that, experimenting, spinning really worked for me well. I think Peloton did an incredible job on that journey, that they make it really interesting. So I do love that aspect. But again, what you put in your body, in my opinion, is everything.
All right. So you think that it's basically what the things that are making up your body, right, essentially is the food that you're eating, and that creates the output of how you're feeling, how you're looking, how you're contributing to the world, essentially.
I believe so, 100%. That's what I think.
Nice. So your journey to, going back to kind of your entrepreneurial journey, creating fulfillment for yourself and making an impact on the world, you felt like the plant-based vegan nutrition lifestyle was the way to go. How were you able to kind of start that off and branch it into PlantX as it is now?
So again, 20 years for me in .com. My last company was in the agriculture space. We went, like I mentioned earlier, from a $6 million market cap to a $1.5 billion market cap. We went from like virtually no revenue to $10-15 million in just our first year. And over each platform that I've developed, I've learned different aspects to the e-com world and figured, how do we go combining that 20 years of experience into a platform that could actually educate, teach people? Because so many people think plant-based living is just some bread and some pasta. But at the end of the day, some of these culinary experiences that come out, I'm currently in Spain, and I went for a vegan meal the other day, and honestly, the flavors are mind-blowing. So just love to get that out there for people to try it, where they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's not just ABC.
Yeah, no, I think that's an important distinction to make, because I do think that people think it's like eating rabbit food in the States, especially. It's just like, oh, I'm only going to eat lettuce all the time and have salads and that's it. But it is a lot broader than that. I'm in the Chicagoland area, and we have a restaurant downtown called the Chicago Diner. And it's a vegan restaurant, but they make like hamburgers and chicken wings, but they're all shaped like rectangles. It's really interesting. But the flavor is exactly like a chicken wing. The texture is pretty similar, but it looks nothing like that. It's a really cool like psychology trick, I guess. Like it tricks you, kind of an illusion of the mind. And I think like technology has come a long way in making it more diverse and making it more interesting. But how now on your end, PlantX, what's the role in you? So you have a lot of scientists on your team that are helping educate people. How are you helping this become more of a, I guess, everyday thing for the average person? Because at first, the barrier to entry to becoming vegan or plant-based used to be very hard to kind of commit to that lifestyle. What are you doing to make it simpler?
So originally, I actually disagreed with people, for example, making a hamburger that tastes like a hamburger. Why do we need to be coming up with these fake foods to represent what people already know? But a year after starting PlantX, and I'm a big believer you could be wrong, and pivot really quick.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think it's actually important, because then it introduces people to living a lifestyle that maybe they would reject by not having these familiar flavors that they love so much and miss. So I think right away people are like, Beyond Meat's made in a lab and all these things. But if you actually look at the ingredients at the end of the day, they're really not that bad once you look at them. Some people can say, oh, some things are non-organic, and they should be. But I think everybody freaks out all the time on an immediate reaction to a product. So I think that part's really, really important to point out, so that people could really make this journey moving forward to a plant-based lifestyle and seeing how easy it is. And Matthew Kenny, who I consider the godfather to vegan, he has 55 restaurants around the globe or more, different concepts. And he said it best. He goes, why do we even need to point that a place is vegan or plant-based? Why can't it just be food? And that was really, really interesting and powerful when you start thinking about that. If you launch a concept that just has incredible food, why do you even need to go ahead and mention that it's vegan or plant-based? So when people speak to me that the vegan world or the plant-based market is worth X dollars, I say, you're wrong. We are in the food industry, which is $1 trillion industry. So for you to speak about anything under $1 trillion in our realm, you're wrong. So that's the way we look at it.
That's actually really interesting, because I think a lot of it comes down to marketing. Wouldn't you agree? Like when you do put out that something is plant-based or something is vegan, I think more people, especially nowadays, are more interested in it. But personally, you're thinking that that's kind of the wrong direction. Is that what I'm understanding from this?
Yeah, I just think food's food. Like there's this fantastic place called Kokomo in Vancouver, where I live, for example. And I go to places that are non-vegan, and I get them to make me vegan products, right? Or just double check that some things are vegan. But I went with this person named Adam, who's part of the PlantX team, and he's much more strict on the vegan side. And he goes, Sean, the food is so incredible, but I'm noticing some flavors. Are you sure this place is 100% vegan and not vegetarian? And I said, honestly, I can't answer that. So we were sitting right outside, and I started looking around their doors and everything. And nowhere does it say that they're vegan or even vegetarian. So I thought it was really, really interesting. And I go in and I say, oh, I know I eat here all the time, and they say it's 100% vegan. So that kind of proves at the end of the day, why do you even need to point it out? Good food is good food. So just launch and don't scare away people, because half the people walking by the store, like you're saying, some people are interested in that whole vegan trend right now.
Right.
But how about the people out there who are just scared, thinking vegan food tastes bad? Why not shock them after they try it? I love that approach. When I bring people to that place and they try it, they're like, wow, this is great. I'm like, it's 100% vegan. And they're like, mind blown.
Yeah, no, that's actually a great point, because you're trying to be more inclusive into the plant-based space. I see where we're coming at now. But I think in the nutrition and fitness industry, where I'm coming from, it's a very divisive topic. You're either 100% for plant-based or you're not. And there's all these, what's the word? Media, like the Game Changers documentary, for instance, things that kind of push people in one direction or the other direction, make it even more divisive. But I love that you're making it more inclusive, because I agree, food is food. It's going to have certain nutritional values. You're going to have to enjoy it, or you're not going to like it. It's not your flavor preference. And that was something I admired about the Chicago diner place I mentioned earlier. They never write anywhere that it's vegan or plant-based or whatever. They just say, we're a diner, we have food, you come and enjoy the food. You don't like it, you leave. And it's really how it opened my eyes personally to this being a cool, interesting thing that I can explore more. How now for you, do you expand on going off of that? So people get shocked, right? Like you said, you like having people get shocked. Where do you take them after that so that they can continue to explore how good plant-based can be for them?
So that's the whole idea of our platform, from groceries on the platform to plants for the home, to meal delivery, to anything that you could think. We really want people to be captured into this environment that they're constantly wowed at the end of the day. And back to what you spoke about on the fitness side, I'm in the gym, especially when I'm back home, every single day, right? For an hour with the trainer. And on a shoulder day, for example, we literally do 1,200 reps. He's like, Sean, I'm always shocked because you do more than any blow, like 30% more than anyone else. And I don't take any supplements. I just stick with a plant-based lifestyle. And he's Mr. New Zealand pretty much. He benches over 500 pounds, just to give you an idea. Pretty unbelievable the strength he has. But like in shoulders, for example, him and I do, it's a smaller, more isolated group, as you know, but I almost do the same as him, if not more, on some exercises. So it's like pretty funny. And I've went hard for 6 months and we've seen massive results. My bench has gone up by 50%. And this is all via plant-based lifestyle. And if you look at the PlantX YouTube channel, we have Sarah Favento, I think that you pronounce it that way. And she's 100% plant-based, and you can actually see her transition and her being in the gym. And she's much more about how much protein goes into the diet. And she has all these tips on how to incorporate that. And, I think you'd be blown away by seeing her transformation as well, living a plant-based lifestyle.
Man, do you always poke fun at him for that, for you having stronger shoulders than him? I feel like I would all the time.
Pretty much every day I bring up I'm a vegan, and then I joke with him. I say, "Hey, Nigel, do you think I'm pound for pound vegan, strongest in the gym on this exercise?" So we get a really good kick out of it.
That's a really long title to give yourself, but it is exclusively yours.
I'll take it.
That's awesome. But no, I like say her name one more time for me.
You're putting me on the spot. Sarah Favento. It's an Italian last name, so I have some trouble with it.
Sarah Favento. Okay, so that is really cool, because I also work occasionally with like people that are 100% vegan, 100% plant-based. And at the end of the day, your food is made up of carbs, proteins, fats, and fiber. Some variations of those. They'll come from different foods, but for the most part, every food you're going to have is some makeup of those. And as long as you have a good enough ratio of those foods for your personal needs and preferences, you're going to live a happier, healthier life. Now, that kind of leads me into how earlier you mentioned different variations of being plant-based: vegetarian, there's flexitarian, there's vegan. You're vegan, if I remember correctly. And do you want to, first of all, explain kind of the differences between all of these for people listening? Because flexitarian was a new one for me. I just learned about that like 2 weeks ago. So I want to hear, so I want to hear from your perspective what the distinctions are for those, so that people can be a little more informed about it.
So at the end of the day, I can't tell you 100%, because each person has kind of their own mindset on it. At PlantX, the one thing, and this is an important thing that I left out when I was telling you a bit about my journey, the 10 years plus that I've been on this plant-based journey. And we refer to it as plant-based versus vegan, because vegan, for example, they won't even accept honey from bees, while I feel some of the plant-based world would. Maybe a question mark. That's why I can't get too much into the nitty-gritty, but we believe plant-based lifestyle is really important, because vegan won't wear leather, they won't do any of that, and we find it very extreme, while we feel this whole plant-based movement is more welcoming. And that was the thing. Every time I told somebody, "Oh, I live a plant-based," "What do you mean? You don't eat chicken? You don't eat fish?" So I always felt like I was being almost like accused of something. Well, at the end of the day, who cares? It's my journey. And if I decided to have chicken 3 days ago because it looked amazing and I wanted a bite, who are you to judge me with that? So at PlantX, our big thing is, if you had steak last night, we love you. Still come check out the PlantX Lifestyle. You want to check it out for lunches. You just want to have snacks that are plant-based. Cool. We want you to be part of our community. So I think that part is really, really important. So listen, I try to live a vegan lifestyle as best as I can. But like I said, I'm traveling right now. And if we're with a big group of people and there's something amazing on the table, sometimes I'll give it a try, and I think it's important. It goes back to what I said earlier in your show, saying, listen to your body. Like, maybe there's something that it needs once in a while. Maybe it's looking at that. Maybe it's enjoying the smell because it's actually wanting it in your body. Be open-minded. That's my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think we resonate a lot on we have similar philosophies when it comes to food in that regard. It's always, I'm very inclusive when it comes to food. I don't think there's anything that is bad. I think everything can be bad if you do too much of it or have not enough of it. But it's really cool to see a different perspective on the plant-based approach, and you're just trying to have people have more plants in general so they could feel the benefits of it, as opposed to avoiding everything else and avoiding meat products and dairy products and things like that entirely, kind of thing. Is that right?
Yeah, and something you just hit on, which somebody who I know who's in like incredible shape hits on it. She says everything in moderation, you know, and at the end of the day, I truly believe in that. I do stay away from the whole raw sugar world, like the whole like sugar aspect. I believe it's a drug. You know, I truly do. I think if we fast forward, you know, fine, it's legal and everything, but the way it makes your brain feel and the way it makes your body feel, and how every day you kind of need a little bit more to surpass that. So I'm not the biggest fan on things like that. But just to give you an example, everybody, and I'm not talking about mixed alcohol drinks and stuff, and I don't know enough about your background. Maybe I'm going to say something really bad here, you know, but at the end of the day, like wine, you know, like good quality wine, good quality tequila. You know, these things come from plants at the end of the day. They come from just natural. If you get the high quality ones, it's just a natural product. I've tried, like, I enjoy having a glass of wine now and then. I enjoy my tequila and all that. When I know some fitness people say cut it out for 30 days. I've tried, and believe it or not, when I cut out the sugars, when I cut out desserts, fried food, I think, you know, even though I find that, you know, when I take those, I can't lose weight, you know, then I really run into trouble, you know, but with the wine and alcohol, for me, you know, it's not like the worst thing out there. Like that's what I've at least seen with my body. I'm not a beer drinker. I don't know about these other products. But for me on those products, it's worked well. And when I have cut it, I've never seen my weight drop. And then my trainer, who I said, you know, I think really highly of him, he says, well, Sean, do you eat less food at dinner when you're having those items? And I'm like, yeah, it's funny you say that. He's like, it's not that funny because they're so high in calories that your body's getting fed maybe not the most nutritious thing in the world, but then it's cutting down the appetite on the other products. So it was really an interesting, unique way to look at it, that maybe when I don't drink at all, I'm actually consuming so much that it goes back into the moderation side of things, you know? So
yeah,
who knows? It's all a complicated equation out there.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like there's a lot you're unaware of that's happening, you know, and unless it gets pointed out to you, or unless you know what to look for, you can be falling victim to these little corrections that you're subconsciously doing without even realizing it. Yeah. No, but that's really cool. So I wanted to actually say something earlier because I just learned about it recently. You talked about how sugar reacts in the brain and how most people should avoid that. I have a fun fact. I don't know if you know about it or not, but recently I learned that processed foods, I think this is specific to the US though, processed foods that are high in sugar look to react with the opioid receptors in the brain, which is what makes it so addictive, is the fact that you're looking for this constant pleasure seeking food. And then once it's snapped onto that receptor one time, it's going to constantly want to look for and want to feed on it. So I definitely, you know, there's obviously a lot of science that backs up what you're saying, but I wanted to share that with you and with the listeners in case that, you know, you could share that for your other people that are going down that same route.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see it all the time. When I give up dessert for a long period of time, I don't crave it at all. And then if I start having it a little bit, I want it. And that's why a lot of companies include milk in milk powder. You know, that's like it's mind blowing for the brain, that stuff. You know, your body like wants that so bad when it's put in there. And sometimes chips, you know, one day have them, then all of a sudden every day you have a craving for it. Well, now I've been away for a few weeks, I don't even crave them. So it's really interesting how the human body works.
Yeah, the two big ones I found are milk powder and soy lecithin, that I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm sure people know it when they read it, that create that effect. Are there other ingredients that you kind of learn to stay away from in particular when you kind of flip the bag over and see what's in it?
Yeah, great question. I like I said, I'll go back and not to repeat myself, but back to sugar.
Yeah, right.
Raw sugar out there. I think that or not raw sugar is not even the right word. I'm just saying sugar, anything with sugar. So if you just look at my meals through the whole day, I try to stay really balanced. Like there's no elevation in the insulin levels or anything, because I just eat so much balance without sugar out in the diet, whether it's coconut sugar. At one point I was a believer in, okay, well, if you have maple syrup or coconut sugar, for the people who aren't really strict vegans, honey. At the end of the day, I think all these things really elevate and make you want to consume it. It doesn't necessarily matter if it's just sugar. So I've really done over the last few weeks, really avoiding sugar at all costs.
So sugar is the big one. Is there anything that when you are, looking to add products to your PlantX marketplace, what are some red flags for plant-based products that you look to not include?
So yeah, back to kind of the things that you've mentioned. We try to make sure that everything's 100% vegan, because at the end of the day, somebody's coming to our platform to try to live a plant-based lifestyle. How bad would it be? They find a product they love, and then they find out that it's not plant-based. So at the end of the day, that's really something that we pay a lot of attention to. Obviously, we want people who care about the world and who put together great products with a great story. So, it's such a fun space to be in, because there's literally hundreds of products coming out every month now in the plant-based space. So we want to be this platform where if you trust us and you love our products, we send out an email, hey, check out these 100 new products, and you look through. And it dawned on me, I walked in, so we have a few flagship brick and mortar stores also for education. And I walk into our store in Squamish, BC, and I go, oh my God, I didn't even realize this. And you're going to think it's so silly that I'm saying this, but all the products in here are plant-based. I could just go and grab whatever I know the concept we were building, but then actually 5 minutes into my experience in the store, I go, why am I even reading the ingredients? Anything that looks great, I could just grab, throw it in and enjoy. So that's really what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, it's more like a thought-free experience now. Like you can go in with confidence, save a lot of time, basically. You don't have to read things as much. But have you ever gone or experienced a vegan product that you still felt you didn't mesh well with? Maybe the story wasn't as good. What was that situation kind of like for you?
There's a lot of them, a lot of in the dessert world, a lot in the pastry world, where they still throw in just so much bad stuff. And it goes back to originally what I said to you. If I don't find a really good gluten-free toast somewhere, because I do enjoy a piece of toast in the morning with coffee, for example, I would move over to sourdough, because the health benefits to sourdough are tremendous, especially if it's a natural sourdough toast or bread at the end of the day. So just because things have the vegan label or the gluten-free label, I'll never put a claim or a stamp that it's amazing for you. Just because it's vegan, it doesn't mean it's great for your health. So I think it's really important that if you are living, and we try to do this at PlantX, but at the end of the day, people are still free to make their own choices. So we want to be a platform that we're not just catering to a niche part in the vegan world. We need to carry vegan products. We could educate people on what we believe is healthy and not, and reviews and all of this. But at the end of the day, each person has their decisions to make on what they want to put in their body. I only drink water, besides the tequila and wine that I told you about, and champagne on a special occasion. Besides those three things, the only thing that goes into my body every day is water. Probably not enough of it, because everybody underestimates on how much they need at the end of the day. But
So you're not a fruit smoothie, green drink kind of guy?
I'm not, and my whole mentality behind that, and I'm sure, again, you have a different side of it that you could sell me on it, but when I go for a smoothie in the past and I see them putting 2 bananas, 20 of this thing, 50 of these things, you would never sit there and consume all the items. So I know there's this whole debate about, well, the nutrients have been sucked out of our earth and products don't have the same thing as before, but I believe the human body also adapts at the end of the day. So for me, and when I have a smoothie, my body doesn't react well. So I'm cool having my water and my natural products through the day that I feel like eating and consuming.
Yeah.
Everybody's, I know some people are diehard smoothie people, and they
Hmm.
absolutely love it. And I think
Yeah.
it's great for them.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love that perspective because for me, it's a lot, for me, when I work with clients, I should say it's very contextual. If someone's trying to lose weight or feel more satiated throughout the day, drinking your calories, drinking your food isn't the right idea. You're getting all these, you could drink the water and then eat this food. It's going to make you feel fuller. You're going to have fewer calories because you're not drinking your calories, and you'll just feel better because, again, you're actually chewing and digesting it all the way through yourself. But on the flip side, if someone's trying to build muscle, for instance, in a different context, not losing weight, they need more calories. Drinking your calories becomes advantageous. It's easy to get more calories through drinking. So it's definitely a contextual thing. And I really love that you're very big about listening to your body, finding that individual approach that works for you, and kind of going that route with the whole nutrition side of things. It's really admirable that you're spreading that message to so many people.
Yeah, no, I love that idea that you just pointed out about drinking your calories. And it's interesting. Every time I went to this place, Kokomo, that I told you, and they have this power malt smoothie that it's amazing. Like, I won't lie to you. You speak about a little bit, and this is an exact example of what you spoke about, product you consume and then you want it every day. It was just so like work out hard in the gym, and then you get this like cold smoothie with cocoa powder in it and all these things which really get you going. But it never really curbed my appetite and what I was eating. So I felt like if I went there the next day and just had a bowl, or the day before I had the bowl and the smoothie, I actually left there feeling pretty much the same fullness, which is pretty interesting. So at the end of the day, I don't disagree with what you're saying. If people need the calories or want the calories or things like that, I think it's very easy to consume that. Well, the fullness that you get really comes from eating that whole food.
Yeah, no, that's definitely like an underlooked aspect, I feel like, in the weight loss journey, is how full foods make you feel when you eat them and when you don't eat them.
I
Because
do try to, that was when I weighed 60 pounds more than I do now. Believe me, I tried every trick in the book to feel fuller, like, oh man, the crazy things I would do, from like eating arrowroot cookies to, like those kids' arrowroot cookies, to rice crackers, to Ben and Jerry's yogurt, because I would sliver off a little bit just to feel like, it was crazy what I would do back then. But yeah.
it's a lot of, you mentioned this at the beginning of the podcast, but it's a lot of mental struggle, mental battle between yourself and what you're doing, and trying to get your body to kind of cooperate with what you want to accomplish. I think,
well, the hardest thing is curbing the appetite, like from a fitness side of things, like, and that's why I say, I think it's really hard when somebody's starting a journey of losing weight. It's hard to hit the gym hard and at the same time moderate your food. And I personally, and I don't know if research has changed out there or what the message is, but when I started, I wish people told me this, but when I was growing up, and my whole times that I failed probably 20, 30 times to lose weight, that was never once told to me. It was always like, go work out, change what you're eating. Like, and it's almost impossible what you're setting yourself up for. So I would almost say, let somebody just start with like either a diet change, go that way, a lifestyle change on what they're putting in their body, or the fitness side, and then ease off.
Yeah, that was actually the exact thing I was just going to say. It's like the best approach is doing one thing at a time as opposed to all things at once. Simplicity is underappreciated. People always go for all or nothing approach with these kind of things.
Yeah, and that's the problem. That's why you can only sustain it only for a couple of weeks. Well, if you really adapt, take the time to learn and make this I love when people, like, I abused my body for 30 years, legit abused my body for 30 years. And even today I want results tomorrow, but how's that fair? Like, I'm still learning over the last 10 years. Yes, I've done a much, much better job. But at the end of the day, it would be unreasonable to expect your body to, change immediately.
Yeah, I like the word choice there. You said, how's that fair? As opposed to like, how's that logical or reasonable? You paid your dues in one respect. You abused your body, like you said. How is it fair to just like turn off all that abuse that I went through for 30 years in an instant?
And you always want it to kind of right away. I drank Coke instead of water. I drank apple juice instead of water. These things are terrible things. I know they're readily available. And to me, I always scratch my head. Sometimes I went to like amusement parks or whatever. How is it possible water costs more than Coke when 90% of Coke is water?
Yeah.
So an artificial product that gets added to water is cheaper than water itself.
It's actually mind-blowing, especially like fountain drinks. Fountain drinks are just a little bit of syrup, very small percent of syrup, and it's all carbonated water. You get it for 50 cents for a super extra large drink.
This is some of the problems out there, but that's why at PlantX we're really trying to break things down for people, point out points that actually make sense in this world, and hopefully people start asking themselves questions, because when people are told what to do in life, I find that you don't do it, right? You do the opposite. So we're just trying to make this really welcoming, safe, fun environment that I've done. And I know some people say, well, if I did it, you can do it. And I'll tell you, no one liked a steak more than me, or on a Wednesday night going and getting 2 Big Macs, 9 McNuggets, and a large fry and a large Coke. That's what I was taught was okay. But hey, if I had a bite of someone else's fry that night, then that was not okay. But all of that other food, the 8 pieces of bread that I put in my body and the 4 patties and all this other stuff. So education at the end of the day is so much.
Because I love that you're bringing that up, because it's like a cornerstone of my coaching is helping you understand why you're doing it. Because like you said, just telling someone what to do, like, hey, do this, they're not going to do it. They don't feel compelled to do it. They don't know why they're doing it. They just know that someone told them to do it. It's not something that'll actually spark like an epiphany or a change in how they view things and how they approach things. So that's like a really amazing thing that you're reaching out and doing. And that's a big problem that you're solving with PlantX as well, that I think is really cool. Now, you have done like PlantX, I should say, you and PlantX have done some really cool things. You've gotten some really cool sponsors, Venus Williams, Matt McNutt more recently. That's really cool to see. What kind of challenges do you see now for PlantX, and what other problems do you plan on solving going forward as you continue to grow the business?
And not to sound arrogant by any means out there, I believe we're in this incredible space that's just growing every single day. And people like Venus Williams joining a company that's less than a year old, one of the most epic athletes of all time, and Nick McNutt, who you mentioned, a little while ago, one of the best back hill or back mountain skiers in the world, and Remy, who's a phenomenal, Remy Metalier, who's an incredible downhill mountain biker. We're finding, and I get to meet these people firsthand, and they're just so unique, and seeing what they believe in the plant-based space. And we get calls all the time. And when you see some of the announcements coming out here over the next couple months of some new ambassadors that we've partnered up with, the whole idea is to catch a wider audience. Keep growing, keep going out there, keep spreading the word, and bring them. So when I start a business, I always try to think of everything in this industry. It's a very different one than my past ones as far as e-com go. The price points are much different. So if you think about it, my previous orders were about $150 for one product. Now products are $2, $3. How do you go about doing this in affordable fashion of packaging up a box, some of them refrigerated, still making it environmentally friendly, sending it out via FedEx? These things get heavy. Those are the types of challenges we see. So originally I thought we'd only need 1 distribution center. We actually need 3 distribution centers in Canada, 4 distribution centers in the US, so that we could at least get the infrastructure in place to then do same day, next day fulfillment. So those are the types of things that we need to be so agile and learn and adapt immediately. Otherwise, we'll just keep making sales, losing money, and then where will we be in about 2 or 3 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
So that's been the biggest thing that we've had to adapt to. Is I had this mentality from 20 years of experience, and sometimes people on my team get frustrated with me because I change, but I'm changing for the reason for it to be better for our company. There's no other reason behind it. So that's right now for me the biggest challenge, but that's what makes it fun. That's what keeps the mind going and keeps trying to push us to be the best company in the world in the plant-based space.
Yeah, that's amazing. So essentially you're like trying to scale larger, but not lose quality of product and keep obviously a good profit for yourselves and continuous revenue growth.
Exactly. And we want to have products and selections. And, Alex co-founded the company with me, and we made a decision about a month and a half ago to change this from just being PlantX to PlantX Lifestyle. Because we believe that when people start really caring about themselves, about the products they put in their own body, right, and they're making that, it's an effort. It's a lot easier to go out there and just take whatever and not even think about it, right? We notice that then people start, hey, how could I make my surrounding better? How can I be a better person? How can I go ahead and change other people's lives? And that's really what we're so focused at here. And that's why PlantX means so much to me at the end of the day, more than just another business or anything. I'm really looking, and I really feel that we haven't accomplished this anywhere close to it yet. Even though we've done amazing things. And if you really look at all the partnerships and all the different strategic things we've done, you would think, you'd be like, what are you talking about? And in a year, it's almost impossible to capture that success. To me, we haven't even come close to doing what really we're set out to do. So it's going to be a really interesting next few months here while the foundation is laid, so that we could really go out there, educate, bring new people into the environment, keep adding such incredible products, from plant-based cosmetics to vitamins to all these different things that people say, wow, this is incredible. This is really what we want to do.
Man, that sounds amazing. I could tell you're really passionate about this, and this was obviously like perfect fit career path in your like journey of fulfilling yourself and creating an impact in the world. So this is going to be a odd question to kind of follow that up with. What do you think you'd be doing or pursuing if you weren't doing PlantX right now?
So when I left my last company that I founded from my garage, I left it in February of 2019. I learned so much. So right away, what did I want to do? I wanted to share. So I went ahead, I became an advisor to a few companies. All of them had successful runs from the education piece that I brought them. So I think I probably would have kept going down that avenue. I needed a little bit of a break, but for whatever reason, things connected. I had a meeting in December of 2019 in Vegas. I was down there actually for one of the clients. And one thing led to I believe everything happens for a reason out there. When I left my previous company, I said, oh man, what am I going to do? But I've always been this entrepreneur at heart, always going out there, wanting to do incredible things. But for the first time, and I just turned 40 not too long ago, and maybe age has something to do with it, where patience has been incorporated into the life just a little bit, not too much, but it has been that I got to this point where I really felt I wanted to make a difference. And no matter what company I worked with, they were great companies, great people in the companies, but I didn't really feel that we were going to make a change in the world. And I know people always say they want to, or they try, and I think it's incredible what you do with the education and fitness, and it really ties in. I swear to you, I probably went to the emergency room like 30, 40 times thinking that I was always like something was going on with me. And I can't imagine how many people, and when I speak to people out there, I hear that a lot of people go through all this, and I just know how I felt back then. And if I could just change just a few people's lives, not the thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions I'm planning on changing, to me, that would be an insane accomplishment in life, So this was just the right place. And, this is what I'm loving doing. And I don't see it ending anytime soon.
Yeah, that's amazing. That was a great answer to that question, honestly. And you could definitely feel the passion in your voice for anyone listening through your headphones that you care about this, and it's definitely changed you for the better. And you're genuinely looking to help other people too, which is just astounding.
Absolutely. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So I know we're coming close to the end of our time. I just got a couple more questions for you. One, for people that are interested in, PlantX and more of what you do, where can they find that kind of information?
So the website plantx.com and plantx.ca is 100% the best place to go to find our products, to learn about what we do in community. And then on the bottom part, you'll see we have a whole investor section that people could click on, and then they could read a lot about our company and how to get involved if they choose to get involved.
Awesome. That's actually really good. So that'll be linked in the show notes for anyone that is interested, so you can get direct access to that. And now, last question for you. This is called the Not So Stupid podcast. We focus a lot on simplicity in helping people improve their everyday lives. So what is one simple tip that has helped your life drastically that you can share with other people that they could start doing as soon as they finish this podcast?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. And at the end of the day, I think what I'm going to say is not an easy thing to do, but if by some chance you could accomplish it, I think it'll make your life better overall. And that's really living in the moment, really trying, like if you're in the gym, focus on the gym. Don't worry about what's coming after the gym, because guess what? If you worry, you freak out while you're in the gym, it's still going to be the exact same outcome an hour after you're done in the gym. You know what I mean? And if you're having breakfast and it's incredible, don't think about what you're having for lunch or dinner. And if by some chance you are eating that sugar or whatever, don't stress, just enjoy the moment. Otherwise, what's the point of being in the moment? And what do we all have to live for? So that's the best piece of advice I could give.
I love that. Very stoic way of thinking. Definitely what we like to hear. Well, thank you so much, Sean, again, for your time. Really appreciate it. Again, if you want to see more about PlantX and their products and what they do, that is going to be linked in the show notes. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Cheers.